Hello everyone and welcome to this video on SQL Server Azure database managed instances. Managed instance is a new service offering from Microsoft which addresses a few concerns that were there for deploying SQL databases. So earlier we had the SQL Pass offering, the SQL Pass databases that we had, and at the same time we had the IAS VMs uh, which were used for installing SQL Server just like you do on your on-prem. Now, managed instance addresses the concerns related to the PAS database as well as IAS. PAS database had very limited functionality in terms of what features are there, as we all know. And with the IAS, the problem is the additional burden that you had to take for the OS level management. Now, managed instance addresses this concern by giving you the similar functionality that you have for a PAS database, but at the same time acting like a full-fledged instance and providing all the features that are there almost like your on-prem instance that you install. So it takes away all the administrative burden of your operating system management because you cannot see any underlying OS in there. You can find more details on this link. I'll put this in the description where you can read more about it. What we want to do in this video is to create a managed instance and then look at the ways how we can connect to it. So there are quite a few methods what we can use. We can use a P2S, we can use an S2S, but I wanted to cover a more interesting option where we can create a jump server in Azure, and through that jump server we can connect to our managed instance. So we'll be specifically covering only that use case here. So as a first step, I've already created a resource group to hold all our resources that we are going to create. We are going to start off by creating a VNet where we are going to keep our managed instance. So let's create a virtual network first. Excuse me. So I believe you all know how to create a VNet, but we have to go through it. Bear with me. So let's name it Azure MI VNet, and the address space, let's accept the default. We are not going to use it for any production purposes anyways. And this is our resource group. Location east US is fine, and we are going to accept the default subnet with its default IP range. I might get this to 22 to occupy less spaces, and with a basic DDoS protection I'm going to create this virtual network. So once this virtual network gets deployed, it is going to be the base network for our managed instance. Later in this video we are going to create another VNet which will host our jump server. So the deployment is currently in progress. Let's see, once that completes we'll go back to our resource group, and it's underway, but still it shows it here. Once it's done, we can move on to creating our managed instance. So it is done now. Let's go ahead and create a managed instance now. You'll see that there's really not very much that you need to provide in terms of creating a managed instance. So here is our SQL managed instance. You can look for it in your marketplace. Just type in managed instance and it will come up. You can also see your Azure database migration service. We'll be covering this in an upcoming video very soon, so stay tuned for that. And so now we are going to create our managed instance. As you can see, there are not many details that it requires to create a managed instance. There are very simple basic details like your managed instance name, your admin login, password. That's it. So we'll start off by giving it name. Say BG MI. Okay, so very straightforward. The requirements here are a bit different. You cannot use a capital letter or an underscore here. That's the requirement of the naming convention. You cannot use a capital letter. So these are things that you need to know before you create a managed instance. And I'll provide an admin username. I love my name, so I'll use that. And the password requirements are also a bit different. You need a 16 character password, and here we go. The location, I'm fine with it, and the VNet that we had was Azure mi underscore VNet, I think. So let's use that virtual network. That's the one, Azure mi underscore VNet and the default subnet. Now once you choose your VNet, what happens is it gives you this disclaimer that tells you that your managed instance is going to impose network configuration policies. So what it means is it is going to restrict it in a different way as you were habitual in past. So it's different from how the past networks are configured. With PaaS, you can simply open the port to your instance and start connecting to it. That's not the case with your managed instance. You cannot simply go ahead and just by opening a port, you will not be able to connect to it. So, and that's because your uh, managed instance are configured in a very different way, as we'll see. So the SQL mi underscore rg is the name of my resource group, and we're going to select that. Uh, the next step is to use the pricing tier. In the pricing tier, you can use the general purpose uh, or the business critical. This is still in preview, but in both of them you have the generation 4 compute and generation 5. Obviously then later the generation the performance is better. You can learn more about it from here. If you use generation 5, you can see my apply button is disabled here because it doesn't supports the 32 gigs storage. You need to bump up to at least 64. I'm happy with the 32 GB and 16 virtual core value, so I'm good with it. 7 days retention of backups is free of cost, so just enjoy it. You can save money by adding your own license if you have it. I don't, so I'm just not going to use that. So with these settings I'm applying, and this is the pricing. It'll load, I don't know how when, so it takes a bit of time. Now another thing that to note here, that when you're creating a managed instance, this disclaimer is telling you that the first instance that you'll deploy in a particular subnet, that can take up to 6 hours to procure. So that being said, I have created these managed instances in the past, and my experience is around 3 to 3.5 hours is what it takes to create your managed instance. Now I'm going to submit this deployment with the settings that we have provided till now and hit create. So now it's going to validate all the details that we have provided, and once it has validated all of it, our deployment is going to be submitted. Now once the deployment is submitted, just like in any other deployment, you can go to your notification, click on deployment in progress, and you should be able to see what is going on. The duration, this keeps increasing here, so it will go all the way up to 3 hours and at least, and then by the time we should have it. You can download the deployment details from here, so that your you can use it for documentation purpose, or you can see if there's a failure, what all went wrong. And you can see in the background it is creating a few items. One of them is our network security group, and we have some route tables, and the default VNet, it is going to make all these changes. So obviously we are not going to sit here for 3 hours waiting for this deployment to happen. I'm going to pause this video here and resume it once our deployment. So this is a managed instance. The host where it is this. Whenever we are connecting to it, we'll be using this name to connect to, although we can't connect from our local server right now. So if you open a management studio and put in this name, you won't be able to get to this resource right now. So let's get back and create a jump server VNet. I'm going to add a VNet here. In this VNet, once this is set up, we'll create a new virtual machine. So jump VNet. We are using this name, my jump VNet. Accepting almost whatever default we are getting here, taking some less space as we won't need it. The resource group that we have is SQL_RG. We are going to use our own resource group. Fine with the location here. It will create a default subnet with a 24-sided block. I'm fine with that. Let's hit create and quickly get this VNet up and running. And as it is in progress, we can review what is the current status of it. And it's cooking. Once this gets completed, we'll jump on to creating the virtual machine for this network. Another thing to tell you here is the duration that it took. This time it took less than 3 hours actually to build this managed instance. 2 hours 28 minutes. Our jump server VNet is ready. It took a bit of time from Azure side, but finally we have it, and now we are ready to create a virtual machine in this VNet. So let me quickly create a virtual machine for us. Let's quickly take a SQL Server Windows Server 2016 machine. We won't be using it for a long time, so we can afford it. And again, this goes into the same resource group. This will be our jump server, and jump server MI, and again we are going to use a ECS location. No availability. We can bring this down to 2012 R2 data center. Yeah, just to cut down the cost a bit, and give it a password. Here we go. We will allow public inbound ports on this one, the RDP port, so that we can connect to the this jump server from anywhere. On the disk side, I'll stick with the standard SSDs and no data disk. On the network side, we'll use our jump server VNet. So this is going to be placed in a different VNet, and we have already allowed the RDB port. I don't need the boot diagnostic and everything, so I'll just skip that, and nothing else here. Now it will review my configuration, and once that is done, we will be able to create this virtual machine. So our virtual machine was created successfully, and here it is, which is running fine. We can connect to it by connecting to the RDB file that can be downloaded from here. If you can notice, this is a jump VM that the VNet that we are using, and the subnet, and we have already given it a public IP address. So till now, this is the set of resources that we have built to set up this entire lab. This might not be very easy to understand how all these components are related together, so I just created an illustration here which will give you a better idea of what is going on. So first we created a resource group as a SQL underscore RG. Within that resource group we have two different subnets. That's a Azure MI underscore VNet, and we have a default subnet within it where we have created a managed instance. This managed instance is not accessible from anywhere, uh, and we have another virtual network, my jump VNet, and we have a default subnet within it where we have created the virtual machine that you just saw. This virtual machine has a public IP address, and from any on-premises server I can directly connect to this jump server using this public IP. Now the only thing that is left in this whole picture is to add a connection between these two VNets. So let me just first log into the jump server, this one, and what I've done is already installed SQL Server Management Studio, latest version of it, for you, because you don't need to see that. You can always go online and download it and install it, and once you have installed it, the next thing that we'll do is try to connect. So let's just first log in to this virtual machine and see if we are able to connect to the managed instance that we have. So here's our virtual machine. We'll go in here and download this RDP file on our desktop, and we will connect to it. Oh, okay, here we go. Hopefully we should be able to connect. There we go. Now don't expect a lot of performance on this machine because I've used the smallest size possible for this one, so bear with me just to cut down on the cost. So once this loads up, we can go in here and you should be able to see that I've already installed SQL Server Management Studio. Here it is. I'm using version 17.9.1 here for the connection. Just a few more moments before the management studio loads up, and this is the name of our managed instance. We'll also keep this handy somewhere on a notepad because we'll be trying to connect to this again, and this is going to be a SQL Server authentication, and I believe that's the so what will happen here, I'll tell you, is I won't be able to connect to this instance. The reason is simple. As you can see the illustration that I've created here, there's no connection between these two. So what we are going to try, as you can see the connection is going to fail in a moment. What we're going to try here is create a peering between these two VNets. Okay, this is still trying to get through. Here it is. So it able to find the instance where this instance is. That is fine with us. We know where the problem is, and we are going to fix it. So the first thing that we'll do here is go to our resource group and find the VNets that we have. So if I sort of type, we have a couple of virtual networks, Azure MI VNet and MyJump VNet. So let's go to the managed instance VNet where our managed instance is, and if we look into the all the settings that are available, we will be able to see the connections option. So if you see here, sorry, the peerings option. So the peering is going to create a connection. So these two networks are going to get paired. So right now I'm on my Azure MI VNet and I want to create a VNet peering. So let's give it a name, from MI to VM. Okay, and the virtual network that I'm looking for, that is myjump underscore VNet. Okay, so myjump underscore VNet, that's the one. And we don't need any of these options as we are not going to forward any traffic, or there is no gateway involved in here. So we'll just hit OK. It's a simple peering, and this is going to create a connection from my managed instance VNet all the way to my jump VM VNet. Now by the time this is working, I can actually go in here and do the other way around. So the connection, the first thing that we did is going to create the connection from the managed instance VNet to my jump VNet. Now I'm going to create the connection from jump VM VNet to the managed instance VNet. So I'll again go to the peering, same stuff. I'll add, and I'll say from VM to managed instance, and the VNet that we are looking for here is Azure MI underscore VNet. That's the one that we are looking for, and again the same stuff. So now it's working, and if you see the notification, it has added the virtual network peering, the first one that we created. So if we go back here, let me close this one and go to our MI VNet and look for peerings. My peering is created and the peering status is good. I can go back into the other one and check my peerings. If it's all, yeah, it's done. So both of them are created and they are connected. So we now have a very good connection between these two VNets that we had. So we can modify our diagram here, and it would look like something like this. It's going to be a bidirectional arrow. I can't find it right now. Here it is. So now we have something like this between these two. Great. So now we'll try our connection. So we'll jump back to our jump server that we created, and we'll again try to connect to the same instance here, and hey, here we go. So now we are able to connect to our managed instance. uh, you can see that this is completely going to look like an instance which is on premises. It's not like an Azure PaaS where you just have a very few features. It's almost a full-fledged instance with your SQL Server agent, jobs, etc. And you can actually go through all these objects that you see regularly on your on-premises. So it's pretty much an on-premise instance with no burden of taking care of all the OS level tasks. And if I open a new connection here and see what's the version that you are getting, so here it is. You'll see a different version here, It's a Microsoft SQL Azure RTM, and it's a 12.0.2. So it's an still delivering an RTM. Uh, as of now, I haven't heard of any changes that you can make in the version. So you can work with the compatibility mode of your databases for the compatibility purposes of your applications. The rest of the stuff is pretty much as you see. And let me show you. Let me help you here. Go with the properties as well. So here you can see the operating system of the Windows. You can see here, but there's no control over it. It's a 2016 data center. Excuse me. And that's your name, how much memory it is currently utilizing, how many processors it has, root directory, although you can see it but you can't do much about it. The server correlation is predefined to the default one, and the rest of the other stuff that you want to change you can from here. Not everything is going to work as because a lot of features here will depend on the factors that are dependent on the operating system, and since you don't have the uh, way of controlling those, it won't be that easy and simple. So explore this manage instance, and hope you like the video. Thank you.